three things that are generally seen to be characteristics of the European Union at the moment. The first characteristic is that full application of EU law is a precondition for both the operation and the authority of the EU. Without EU law being applied fully in all member states, the EU just wouldn't be credible or be able to operate effectively. You see that as the basis for the primacy of EU law over national law. It was set out in the Dewey report, which is really the report that sets out, just before the Nice Treaty, that sets out the main jurisdiction and reforms that govern the Court of Justice. But even if you put those things aside and said, well, that's just what the Court of Justice thinks, one should say that the UK government, one of the more Eurosceptic governments in the European Union, rejected a report by our House of Commons European Union Affairs Committee and by 95 of its own MPs, which argued that occasionally parliamentary sovereignty should prevail over EU law. And they simply said the single market would not work, and even something like EU-Switzerland arrangement, the arrangement between Switzerland and the European Union, would not work without primacy of EU law, without EU law being fully applied. So right across the spectrum, you find this as a thought. Now the second thought that exists, and this creates one of the dilemmas, is that an appropriate division or balance of competences is central to the operational effectiveness and authority of the EU. There is the idea that somehow if we can get it right, that the EU does things it's best at, and member states do things that they're best at, then everyone will be happy. This is clear in the catalogue of competences, which is now the beginning of the TFEU after Lisbon. It's inherent in the idea of subsidiarity. Here in the United Kingdom, we had a long review where every single area of EU policy was examined with debate by stakeholders to see if the balance was right from a British perspective, and in almost all cases they said it was. But it's not just a British obsession. You find it in Germany, where Angela Merkel has talked about the EU being engaged in too much lifestyle regulation. She thinks there's been competence creep. But you also find it in debates in countries like Greece, or in debates about countries like Greece. So a central criticism of the European Stability Mechanism, or any of the support packages that have been offered or imposed, have a look to Greece, is that it allowed EU institutions to engage in matters of welfare policy, privatisation, taxation. And some of this has allowed the EU to do things, albeit indirectly, in states like Greece, that it just shouldn't be doing. That whatever is optimal for the Greek people, there's a real issue about whether the EU should be getting too involved in those things. So this balance of competences issues occurs against across the whole spectrum. But the problem with this balance of competences is that it doesn't really work very well if one looks at the operation of EU law.